Good morning, and thanks for checking out my channel. One of the things I like to talk about the most is just especially when I'm feeling down and not doing too good for, a bunch of different reasons. Things happen and you just get to thinking the wrong thoughts sometimes to where, you got to get yourself out of that. And sometimes it's hard, but sometimes it's easy, especially when you have a catalog of ideas that you've used before. And one of my favorite memories of my brother, didn't get to keep him a long, long time. He didn't live but till he was almost 50. But one of the early memories that I have of him as almost an adult, I was in college and my brother had been to law school and he had been on vacation with his wife. And he came in and announced that he had ran a marathon. And I thought, Chubby couldn't run a marathon. 26 miles? I don't think so. Anyway, he showed me a picture. He brought me a t-shirt from California. And that just really amazed me that he had actually ran a marathon. In case you don't know, 26.2 miles. Anyway, I don't know how long I thought about it, but it wasn't a long time before I put my shoes on and ran down the street and a few blocks and found out that was hard enough. I never was a runner. I never ran unless I was being chased. And I remember walking by the track in high school and thinking, what a dumb thing, run around an oval. That just didn't make any sense to me. If you're going to run somewhere, run somewhere. But for whatever reason, that motivation came out of nowhere, that I just started running. And the next day I ran a little further. I was wise enough not to run till I collapsed or hurt myself. But each day I would add a little bit of distance or see if I could run a little faster. But I didn't try to do it all in once. But over a short period of time, I was running further and further. And what I didn't realize was I was enjoying it. It wasn't about competing with my brother, although that did really stick with me, that he had done this. And here I am trying to run a mile and feel good about it instead of gasping for air. Well, a little more time went by. The next thing I know, over weeks and months, I'm sure, I was running across town instead of just around the neighborhood. And I was really enjoying it. And then we did some practice runs together because I got to thinking about other things we could do. And before I got that far, I was running in a 3-mile race and then a 6-mile race. And he was too, to some extent. Now he had a full-time job, of course, in his business. And I was in college at the time, so I had plenty of time to enjoy it and to get a little bit better at my distance is what I was kind of going for. Well, next thing I know, I got to run a half marathon because there was one where at school to where I found out what it took to run a half a marathon. So then was thinking about a longer distance because we had run a 15-mile practice thing from where he lived to back to town. I ran another practice run that was 20 miles. Okay, I'm almost ready for this. But that probably took in the neighborhood for about a year or longer. I wasn't going to be a competitor, don't get me wrong. I was trying to finish. 26 miles was the idea. So finally the day came, and right before that, though, one of the things I did not realize, because of where we were running, which was the causeway from Mandeville to New Orleans, if the wind was at our back, there might be a record set that day for a handful of runners, not us. And if the wind was in our face, well, there wasn't going to be any records. So anyway, the day came. he had gotten sick some, so he didn't get to prepare as much as I did. And again, my goal was to finish. Anyway, we ran across that causeway, and I just remember going till it was about the 20-mile mark when I had to stop and walk a little ways. But the wind was in our face, so there was not gonna be any records that day because it was hard running against the wind. And of course, anytime you could get behind somebody to break that a little bit so your pace was close to the same as what you was trying to do. But I finished that race, and it just made me proud to be able to look back over the years. And once in a while, it wasn't something for me to brag about, but once in a while when running come up, there wasn't very many people that have run a marathon. Sure, if you're in that world, there's a bunch of people. A lot of people in fitness, a lot of people in sports do that kind of thing. But I had never done it, and I certainly didn't realize that my brother making that proclamation to me that day way back when I was 19 or 20, that he had done it. And it sparked something in me that makes me feel really good to think about, because he didn't get to live past 50. He had made a lot of mistakes and hurt himself, and he didn't. But that's a sweet, sweet memory for me. And I know you've probably got some of those too, but sometimes they're buried against the days that are hard, that are difficult. And they just don't quite mean the same when you feel like you're buried under the hardness of life and the difficulties that come with it. But once in a while, Darlene and I will sit and talk about things that remind us of all the ways that God has really been good to us. And ultimately, we get down to the statement where she will remind me that, see, George, it really has been a wonderful life because God has been good to us. And God has said many, many times in his word, do not fear, do not be afraid. I am with you. So I hope you'll think about the things that help you get over the hump of the day and do what you need to do, especially love your family, because you don't know how long we have. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and come back again, because I'll post another memory before very long.